You're listening to littlepodcast.com. Japanese gamers spend $200 billion on Pachinko a year.
Human viscera being shown. A robot fish cat.
They made an Asian kid black.
People are like, well, they probably are going to make like a PlayStation Classic. None of these fucking games are on it. Welcome to Born in the 80s, episode 331. I'm your host, John Danger Rowe. Joined by my co-hosts,
Matt Hag.
And TJ May.
Nice. Thank you, TJ, for rounding out the cast today. We were just talking about this before we started, but I guess we could hop in on the hottest gaming news for people that care about things. There's actually a lot going on. This may be a gaming-centric episode because Matt has played some Fallout 76, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, so much.
I've seen videos of this.
Hours and hours.
And I played some Red Dead Redemption 2, and then it's like all these hot new games are out. Red Dead Redemption 2, gotta play it. And what did I spend the entire weekend playing? Modded Minecraft, because I am addicted. It's like Legos, man. It's just fun to build stuff. But you can do stuff like that in Red Dead. So we'll talk about that. TJ, you said you wanted to talk about the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah.
Because they announced what was in that. And BlizzCon happened. So we got a lot of video gamey things going on this week. So let's... what do we want to jump in on first, guys?
Well, let's just get into BlizzCon since we're already warmed up on that. That's
good, because I have the old...
I'm looking at the list of like everything that was announced too. So.
Exactly. I've got the list up as well. So
the official Polygon list.
Yep. So I had BlizzCon.
So there's
this
a new
weekend?
Diablo game that everyone's super excited about.
Yeah. So I think we need to reframe this in the way that it happened. So there was, I think, a news article maybe half a month ago, like 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a full month ago, where they were like showing, okay, here's the BlizzCon floor space setup, and there is a huge amount of space set up for Diablo, and people are like, oh well, they're putting out that Diablo on Switch like that same weekend, so maybe that's that. But they're like, this is way too much space, like it's taking up a ton of the hall. So people are like, I mean, it could be Diablo 4 because there were some leaked hiring pages, not leaked I guess, but there were some, because you can just go on Blizzard's website and look at the people they're hiring. And they're looking for new game development hires for Diablo like game, and they're like, okay, so they're making a new Diablo, and they've said as much. They're like, yeah, we're working on it.
I'm looking at it in response to the backlash. They've already said that there's multiple Diablo projects in development.
Oh yeah, exactly. They're working on a new Diablo. I'm assuming they're also working on another Diablo 3 expansion. I mean, why not? And they're also working on, and this is what happened, is that people were like, oh, this could be Diablo 4, and Blizzard said this isn't. I think they specifically say it wasn't going to be Diablo 4?
I don't know.
Fuck.
I just saw the clips after everything had happened of like the mobile game being announced and then everybody losing their shit. Ooh. Can you believe it? A gaming audience got.
Oh, here it is. All right, here we go. So here's some pre-BlizzCon news where people are saying they're pleased. Here it is. Oh, good. This is good because this is before the reveal. BlizzCon released a floor plan with tons of space for Diablo. Yep. Okay. And so people were saying it could be Diablo 4. I think what happened was Blizzard said that they weren't saying what it was.
And so because they didn't say, then everybody took that to be like a confirmation.
Yeah, and then here's denofgeek.com says Blizzard likely won't be revealing Diablo 4 at BlizzCon. Here's a blog post. So they addressed Diablo at BlizzCon 2018. They said Yeah, yeah, they were real coy about it. So let me just read this. This is the little this is why this happened, because this is a PR lesson that can be learned. BlizzCon 2018 is almost here. We've seen a lot of rumors flying around about our plans for Diablo at the show. These are very exciting times. We currently have multiple teams working on different Diablo projects, and we can't wait to tell you all about them. ... When the time is right. We know that many of you are hoping for. We can only say that good things come to those who wait, but evil things often take longer. We appreciate your patience as our teams work tirelessly to create nightmarish experiences worthy of the Lord of Terror. Okay. I think people also were thinking that this could possibly be a Diablo 2 remaster. Yeah, like,
It's funny because in that statement, I can see where they were trying to manage expectations and say, but then they said, no, the full game's going to take longer.
Yeah, but here's what happens. Well, we won't be able to announce all of our projects. We do intend to share some Diablo-related news with you at the show. November 2nd will be an especially diabolical date. Not only is it the first day of BlizzCon, it's also when Diablo 3 is on the Nintendo Switch. So they're saying bring your console to the floor. You know, we can play. We'll have people playing there. Again, thank you for so they didn't deny it. That's the problem. As they were like, we got a lot of stuff and you'll have to tune in. And then it was what was released was Diablo Immortal, which Matt, I'm sorry, you don't have the audio of the crowd reaction.
Hold on, I bet I can find it if I just.
All right, we'll see if you can find it. I'll explain what it is.
Oh, here it is.
Okay. Just the whole audience farted at the same time.
They were not pleased, to say the least.
But I mean, they were like audible boos when it was announced, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, a lot of people aren't super happy about this. Where is the announcement? Oh my god. I'm looking at the reactions here. Oh, there's an amiibo for the Diablo 3 for the Switch. Do you see what the amiibo is?
Yeah,
it's a loot goblin.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's fun. I don't think I'd get that because it looks like super chibi, and I also don't like to buy too many amiibos.
See, I want to get one of those things that you can load up with whatever amiibo data you want, and then just do it that way.
Okay. Oh, okay. Here's some of the issue here. All right. So Diablo Immortal is an RPG for mobile devices coming to both Android and iOS. It's being developed by Blizzard and mobile developer NetEase Games. It takes place between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Most of the Diablo 3 player classes will be playable. It looks like it plays like Diablo 3 on the PC and console. So I mean, it seems like it's pretty well put together.
That gameplay style translates really well to mobile.
I agree.
Click. You know, you can do that with your finger easily.
So there's one issue with this, and I think, and this is just people being sour grapes, and I think, you know, I understand why people could be disappointed, because you go to BlizzCon, you get amped up for stuff, and they didn't really announce anything super exciting this year. There wasn't any brand new properties being announced, basically. It's just more expansions and new side projects, basically. But I think one of the biggest problems is NetEase, which is a mobile game company, has a free-to-play mobile game called Crusaders of Light, which looks a lot like the Diablo mobile game. So people are saying this really looks like they basically skinned Crusaders of Light and then as a Diablo game. So that's no good. I'm sorry. I'm just listening to the fan reaction here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so fans fucking got their fucking panties in a bunch. Here's the problem I have with this, is that this is just more Diablo stuff. The only reason why people are pissed is because they were expecting more than they got. You know, yeah. It's like being a kid on Christmas and being pissed off that your mom didn't get you the Mario game you wanted, and they got you Mario is Missing or something for your Super Nintendo.
As bad as that game is, I still want to finish it.
But
I think a lot of people are upset, reacting as if this means that there's no actual Diablo game in development, but that's just not the case.
No.
People just need to kind of chill
No.
out a little bit.
Well, okay, and there's a couple things that also lead to this. Is that, like I said before, not a lot of new stuff announced. They announced a new Hearthstone expansion. The World of Warcraft Classic had a demo that was playable there.
Mm-hmm.
Heroes of the Storm had a couple updates.
Destiny 2 is free on Battle.net until November 18th.
Which is hilarious. Because they're just trying to get people to buy
Please
Destiny
play
2
our
so
game.
you'll buy the expansion pack.
Please.
Well, the problem I have with the Destiny games is that, like, I like playing them, but, like, I just don't stick. I don't like the not loot grind, but the, like, just
End
the
game?
I just don't like the way the end game is set up, because you have to replay dungeons over and over again, which is, I guess, the way World of Warcraft works too when you get to the end game. But also, there's so much more to do than that in the high level World of Warcraft. You know, plus there's so many different character classes. So if you get bored, you can try a new class and level that class up. And whereas there's 3 classes in Diablo or in Destiny, they all use the same guns. You know, there's no like special equipment for them. So it's just kind of like
the same. When you're dealing with space guns, you don't have quite the same variety as you do with like wizards and shit.
So that's an issue. They didn't have a lot of new stuff. They did announce some awesome stuff though, in terms of the WoW Classic. So it sounds like World of Warcraft Classic is, if you have a subscription to World of Warcraft, you can access Classic. So they're not doing a separate subscription. They're just like, hey, if you subscribe monthly to World of Warcraft, you can also join this server and play Classic. So that's the way I was hoping they were going to do it. They were going to try.
Did they say when that goes live?
Next summer. Okay. So in like 6 months. So I'm excited for it. I read some articles of people saying like, oh, remember how bad this game was? Like,
yeah.
And like also, but like the thing is,
but also it's fun.
It's different. It's nostalgia, and it's not just that. Is that I think that I like a lot about the way the game was, because it was a lot. And then this is a little bit with Red Dead Redemption 2. The pace is a lot slower on those old games.
Yeah.
Like, so when you achieve something, it feels way more like exciting. Because like right now in World of Warcraft, like when you start, you level up to like 20 in an hour and a half. Like back then, like getting between like getting to level 40 when you could get a mount was super hardcore. And a mount costs 100 gold, and by the time you get to level 40, if you were just like selling stuff from the auction house, you probably have like 20 or 30 gold. Like, so it would be a grind. Like, and then so when you got those things, it really felt worthwhile. Whereas now in kind of World of Warcraft, it's much more of a collecty game. So there are rare collectible stuff, but like you can get so much stuff. There's just so much content now that
well, it's mostly people that have already been through the more grindy version of the game.
Yeah,
like I doubt World of Warcraft's getting like many new people in. It's probably just people that have stuck with it.
Well, and World of Warcraft had some issues too, because I believe this is not the first expansion, but one of the first expansions that I did not buy day one, Battle for Azeroth. I wasn't super interested in an expansion that mostly took place in the same zone. I didn't get to max level with the previous expansion, even though everyone really liked Legion. I just kind of fell off of it, and so I wasn't like super ready for this one. And it sounds like this was one of their most. I think they had like the most subscribers like come back for this expansion launch. And then now they like have lost like 70% of the people. Like it was just a huge drop off, and like people are vocally disappointed with the expansion. So you have Blizzard right now coming off of an expansion that wasn't super well received, a hype that there was going to be a brand new Diablo game announced. And so then when they announce a mobile game, people were just like, this is bullshit. Nothing's going right now. But they did announce Warcraft 3.
Yeah,
Reforged. That's kind of fun.
Yeah,
is it going to be free?
I hope so. I'll definitely play it if it's free.
Well,
and then I'll be like, oh yeah, I suck at these games.
Didn't they announce StarCraft like Reforged, like something like that?
StarCraft Remastered, I think it's already out. It's been out.
Oh yeah, but that costs money. No, it was the original StarCraft on like the like not the not the release date, but like or maybe the date that StarCraft came out originally, like 10-year anniversary or something. They had it for free, so you could download it. So I have that on my Blizzard account for free. So, but they also remaster. I think it's probably
Nintendo 64 StarCraft.
Oh my god, I forgot about that version. Oh. Anyway, but it sounds like the Warcraft 3 Remastered looks really good, and I mean, I like that game a lot. Like, I played a lot of that, so it's kind of cool to see that, because there's a lot of really good lore in Warcraft 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's like, which World of Warcraft has, basically become where all of the lore in the Warcraft universe is happening now. But seeing that stuff back then was cool. So. Yeah, anything else out of BlizzCon? TJ, you see anything you like about BlizzCon?
What else is at BlizzCon?
I don't know.
There were probably some new Hearthstone cards of some kind.
I haven't played Hearthstone forever.
Yeah, I liked it, but I just was like...
Yeah, that's a game where if you fall off for like a little bit, then you fall so far behind in collecting cards that you just can't really get back into it.
Alright, so Warcraft 3 already is on the store page as pre-purchase now for $40, $30, $30. It's $40 for the collector's edition that comes with exclusive in-game items. I'm assuming a mount for World of Warcraft, that kind of stuff where they have that.
Yeah,
that's one thing I love about Blizzard too, is all that cross promotion between all the games. It's really fun being like getting a World of Warcraft update and then getting that. I think is Warcraft 3 Reforged must have online multiplayer and stuff too.
I would assume so. How much do I have to pay if I just want the cutscenes?
Oh, StarCraft, the original StarCraft is I have on my account too, so they must have just made that free, I guess, if you owned it. StarCraft 2? Was it? I thought there was like a separate StarCraft remaster.
Is it?
No, I thought
Oh, it
was
is. It is. There is. No, it is. So free is StarCraft. StarCraft remastered is 15.
Okay.
So I just have StarCraft. I don't have StarCraft remastered, but they share the same page on their launcher. So got it. Cool. Or maybe I have it and I got it for free or something. I don't know. But anyway, there are two versions. But anyway, yeah. So Diablo 3 still going strong. Diablo Immortal not well received. Whatever. Blizzard's in a kind of a weird spot too, because what is it? The director creator of Overwatch left. Who is it?
Is that Mike
Jeff
Morheim?
Kaplan?
No, Jeff.
No. Oh, Mike Morheim already left, I believe.
Okay.
Jeff Kaplan left.
A while ago, the guy from that basically created all of the Warcraft lore left. They're kind of in a weird spot where they're like,
well,
not
I think
exactly lacking in leadership, but there's new people like trying to find their footing.
Oh no, Morhaime was the one that stepped down recently. Sorry. You're right. I was wrong.
Don't you forget it.
Jeff Kaplan must still be working there then.
Is he the one in charge of Overwatch?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Mike Morhaime is 50, so he could be just being like, "Hey, it's time to retire."
Yeah. Like,
I'm
50. I have billions of dollars.
I was going to say I have so much Blizzard money right now that it's time to go traveling for a bit, and I'm sure he has kids.
Yeah,
so
plus
it's like...
when you retire from Blizzard, you probably get like a massive bonus.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, he was CEO, so and people were like, "Oh, does this have to do with the World of Warcraft launch not going well?" It's like, no, this company makes tons of money still. Like,
yeah,
it was just time for him to go.
Part of Activision too, so
yeah,
even if Blizzard was losing money, like Activision is making tons of money.
It's a transition period. I get it. Like, he's just like, it's time to, time to go. Like, we just finished the expansion, and it's time to switch. So,
Time to switch to 100% mobile games.
yes. Yeah.
How long do you think it is before there's like a World of Warcraft on the phone? That's
I
gonna
mean,
happen, right?
There are games like that. So, what was the phone World of Warcraft game that I used to play? By Gameloft. Remember Gameloft?
I remember Gameloft.
Here it is. Order and Chaos Online. It still exists. It's an MMO. It is so obviously a World of Warcraft ripoff. Yeah, they also have the Dungeon Hunter series, which is basically Diablo. Oh, there's already Order and Chaos 2 Redemption. It's an MMO though. I mean, and it's very Gameloft is a company that is very famous for making ripoff games. No offense to Gameloft, because the games they make are actually sometimes very good.
They're like
but if you
the
look at
fucking Asylum Studios or whatever that makes all the ripoff movies.
yeah, but I mean, if you look at a lot of these games, like a lot of them are like, oh, this looks like a game that is like a different game that somehow you put out, and like they have a Gangstar New Orleans, which looks very much like a Grand Theft Auto game. I think they had a StarCraft RTS type game. So it's kind of a Modern Combat 5 Blackout. Not to be confused with what is it? Blackouts 4.
Blackout
with the Blackout mode. So I think they kind of run off that. They also make a lot of licensed games as well. They have Nova, which is their Halo-looking ass game. Yeah, so I just remember I got a bunch of these games because I think there was some Android like holiday sale where a bunch of these like Gameloft games are all like $1, and everyone's like, yeah, they're kind of derivative, but they're actually like pretty decent like playing like games. Like the Gangstar like Grand Theft Auto games are not horrible. So, but yeah, it's very shameless the ripoffs they have. But so yes, Matt, that does exist already. And there's also a game called Dungeon Hunter Champions, which certainly looks like it's probably Dota. Yes. Yep. So yeah, they got all sorts of knockoff games, but yeah. So if you want to play Order and Chaos Online on your phone, I think it's free to play to start. So but yeah, it would be nice if Blizzard could do like an MMO on the phone.
Yeah,
I guess the Diablo Immortal is going to be kind of like that because Diablo's a little MMO-y. Because supposedly, I think the Diablo Immortal game is supposed to have drop-in, drop-out co-op, so you can like join friends and do dungeon crawling. So
okay, that's cool.
Well, I mean,
we should play that all day at work.
Yeah, I was about
We
to
can all
say,
get
yeah.
fired.
Well, the Dragalia Lost game that Nintendo came out has co-op and stuff too, and that's kind of a dungeon crawly type game too. Although I dropped off that pretty good. Right after I put money in, I stopped playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's a well-known fallacy that the more you invest in something, the less you care about it.
I don't know what happened where I just was like, all right, I've been playing this a lot. I'm going to just drop the, I think it was like $6 for like the starter pack that just had a bunch of stuff in it. And I was like, why not? And now I just have not played it in like 3 weeks. So I don't know. I mean, they deserved my money because I played a ton of it. So, and it's only $6. So, but still, yeah. So Blizzard doing okay.
Still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, TJ. What did you find at your store?
Oh.
Yeah, tell me the cool item and how
What
much
about
it costs, and can you put it behind
Can
a
I
coat
have
rack
it?
for me
And
so I can get it?
I don't think you want it.
And will
Oh.
it
but
fit in my butt?
it's-
Wait, let's guess what it is.
Is it
Let's
bigger
play
than
guessing
a
game.
bread box?
All right. So yeah,
Bigger than
we're
a
good.
bread box.
It is bigger than a bread box.
Okay. Is it an arcade cabinet?
That is very close, but no.
Ha ha.
That's very close, but no.
Oh,
So is it
all right.
gaming related?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, can I guess again?
Yeah.
That's my turn. We'll take turns.
We'll take turns.
Is it a pinball table?
That's even closer than before, but no.
Damn it!
It's very close. You don't know how close you are.
Man. Oh, man. What's close to a pinball table? I don't know. All I can think of is like air hockey. Is it an air hockey table?
No.
I knew it wasn't.
It's
All
a bit
right.
more tangentially related
All right,
to gaming.
let's stop guessing because this is gonna go on forever. What do you got?
I've got a late 70s or early 1980s pachinko machine.
Ooh. You're right. Pinball is a lot closer because there are little metal balls.
Yes.
Can you tell me what the pachinko machine looks like, or what it's called, or what brand it is, or anything?
I was going to search it and I don't remember
Well,
what the
first
heck
let's
it was called.
describe for listeners what a
So-
pachinko thing is.
All right, so pachinko. The best way to describe pachinko
Is it
It's-
super racist sounding?
it
It
is
does
super
sound
sounding.
racist.
So pachinko,
Now that you say it, I can't stop hearing it as racist.
pachinko. So pachinko is very similar to old school pinball, the one with the
Yes.
actual pins.
Yeah.
Where you basically flip up a bunch of ball bearings and try to get them in prize holes.
Mhm.
If you get into the prize holes, you actually win a bunch more ball bearings that you can put back in the machine.
So it's almost like a plinko board.
Yes, well,
That's a good way to call it.
Plinko's inspired by pachinko.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
want
why
to
it's
say
called
also that pachinko is humongously popular in Japan.
Yes, it's gotten a lot more electronic, a lot more flashy, a lot more lights, just like pinball has.
Well, yeah, there's like Metal Gear Solid pachinko
Yes.
that has like new cutscenes that they made for it, and like Resident Evil pachinko. Like there's all these like pachinko games.
But originally, this was made to be more of like just a regular gaming activity, kind of like what you do with like a Chuck E. Cheese's for kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you would take those ball bearings and redeem them for prizes.
Yeah.
Now-
like tokens or like
just like
tickets.
just like I say this at my Savers store, I'm going to say this twice. Gambling is illegal in Japan.
Wink.
Yeah.
Let me say this again. Gambling is illegal in Japan.
Wink.
So, though at these pachinko parlors you can go to, you can technically redeem your ball bearings for prizes here in this building. You can take your ball bearings you've got and go to the next building and redeem them for a cash trade,
Yeah.
thereby kind of obfuscating.
Whoa! Slow down. My store next to this pachinko place, we're just buying pachinko balls.
Yeah, it's totally
so we can
unrelated.
supply pachinko machines with these balls. Nothing related to gambling.
No.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not.
It's
And the Japanese government 100% knows this, but they're just letting the loophole go because it makes so much money.
and it's not. I don't think it's like a huge issue. There's not a lot of crime and things around it. I think that it is like
Counterfeit pachinko
tangentially.
balls.
I think it's tangentially like mafia related a little bit in there, but it's
A
not
little
like.
bit Yakuza, yeah.
But there isn't a lot of violence and what I mean, like coming out of it. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
is it worth really like making a lot of people mad versus not like
Exactly.
Yeah, and then there's the sense that I'm
So-
sure they're just like, well, if we crack down on this, they're just gonna try and find another way around it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So this particular pachinko machine came into my store. I believe it was through a regular on-site donation, and it still had some of the ball bearings, and it came in box. Not a good box, but a box. It was its box, but whatever.
Can
But
I
it's
throw?
like-
I just want to. I
it's
just
like
want
a
to toss out a number that I
50-year-old
see in
box.
this article. So I'm reading a BusinessInsider.com article written by Tara Francis Chan from 2018.
Before you throw out this number,
Yeah.
I want to twist your mind a little bit.
Okay.
As opposed to other gambling paraphernalia, it's not like old school Vegas slots where there's a huge market. People think Vegas here in the States,
Yeah.
so it's much more of a niche collector's market. Now go ahead.
Oh no! I'm not talking about buying
Okay.
a machine. I'm talking
Okay.
about this article.
Yep.
I need to see this receipts. I think is saying that Japanese gamblers spend $200 billion on pachinko a year.
That does not mean they lose 200 billion.
which is 30 times all of the gambling revenue of Las Vegas. This seems like this number is wrong. I know you've wrote this article, but they're saying it's double the export car industry in Japan. There's no way that Japan, they just don't have the amount of people there, I think, to be spending that much money. You know, when you think, oh, well, this number cannot be right. What is Japan's population? 126.
5.
I'm wondering if that's revenue and not profit. Like, not even close to profit.
What's the overhead on a Pachinko machine? Get some new balls every once in a while.
Yeah, electricity to run it because it's very flashy, lights blinking.
I think you might be right, too. That number might be...
just the intake.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about the numbers here. So I got the math done. So 200 billion divided by the population of the entirety of the island of Japan of 126 million people. That means each year, each person would have to spend $1,500 only on pachinko.
Easy. I do
That's
that
each
all the
person.
time.
That's saying now let's say Japan's population is a little bit older, but you know, let's say there's probably like, I don't know, what, a third of that are people that aren't gambling age, or maybe a fourth of that.
Whoa. Who said anything about gambling, John?
So it's probably 100 million. So that's $2,000 we're looking at, you know, and that's assuming everyone. So let's say, I would say, and it sounds like from other things I've read, is that not everybody plays pachinko. So that we're talking about like whales here. So let's say probably 50 million people probably play pachinko. That means that there's 50 million people spending $4,000 a year. There's no way. That's so much money, you know, and the 50 million is an insanely high estimate. I mean, that's, we're talking about like a third of the entire population plays pachinko, when it's probably closer to like maybe a tenth. So let's like 12 million people. That's $20,000 a year they have to spend to get 200 billion. I think you're right, TJ. I think it's more likely that the industry is 200 billion, and that's including the wages of the people, you know, making it, the people doing all of the, you know what I mean? Like the industry as a whole is making that much money. Yeah, that's definitely wrong.
So let's talk other numbers. What do you think we have this thing priced at?
4.
I'm gonna say $100.
That's probably what's going to sell at, because we have half price sales all the time. We do have it priced at $199, at $200.
So, how does it work where you work? Is it like they donate the thing or they sell it to you?
Okay, so Savers functions as a professional fundraising company. We work with a local nonprofit partner, which in our case is the Epilepsy Foundation of Greater Chicago. People can donate stuff directly at the Savers location. I don't say the word to, because we take it on behalf of the Epilepsy Foundation, and we pay the Epilepsy Foundation on a per pound rate.
Yeah, you're like a fixer.
Correct. And the same thing with Epilepsy Foundation will schedule drives of their own and bring us trailers and trucks full of stuff, and we'll pay per pound that way. There's separate rates whether they bring the trailer or whether we get them on site, as well as, you know, other little things here and there. But we just pay regardless of the sellability or, you know, what we end up doing, and then we go through and we sort it and price it.
So somebody sold this to you based on its weight?
Somebody gave it to us.
Oh, okay. Man.
And then we pay the Epilepsy Foundation based off its weight. We usually just, like, here's a cart full of miscellaneous goods. So this will be X number. Here's a cart full of soft goods, which is clothing, pillows, you know, what you think soft would be. And then books are on their own separate cart as well, books and media. And we just pay on a per pound basis.
Man, I can't believe they didn't try to sell this. I bet it's a situation where like somebody died and like somebody's cleaning out Grandpa's attic or something.
I was talking to one of my customers the other day, and he apparently used to have a pachinko machine himself, and he was going to sell it, and the market for him trying to sell it was very hard, and it was, you know, wasn't panning out. He wasn't going to get what he was going to ask for. He ended up just donating the thing anyway. So I'm guessing something similar happened.
So you should convince him to buy this one.
I tried.
You know he's into them. So
Okay, let me get some other numbers here about Pachinko, because I found an actual scholarly article.
I was just thinking this podcast needs more numbers.
Well, okay, because the 200 billion thing was like obviously ridiculous.
Wikipedia says that the pachinko industry is valued at nearly $3 billion.
So the article I have is a little old. It's from 2002. But in 2002, they said the total revenue of the entire industry of pachinko was around 2 trillion yen, which is 16.7 billion. So much, much less than that. You know, we're talking about, what is that, 10 times less than what that number was? But also, the crazy thing about this is that and this is true, and there's no way that this is like, it's 200 million as well, because reading the trends, it sounds like pachinko is slowing down in Japan. It's not growing every year, it's just getting a little bit less. It's not like, you know, fucking plummeting, but it's definitely not going up every year. So here's an interesting thing. In 2002, there were 16,000 pachinko parlors throughout the country, right? The number of pachinko machines and pachinko slot machines, which is like the more technical, like the ones with the crazy videos and stuff, are 4.8 million machines. 4.8 million machines. There are, in 2002, in the U.S., 600,000 slot machines. So that's insane.
Shitload of machines.
That's a lot of pachinko machines. The thing is that like in the U.S., the casinos are much more than just slots, whereas in Japan, the only type of gambling they have is pachinko machines.
They're just pachinko parlors.
Yeah. So, I mean that's kind of where it is. So that's interesting. It's really huge. I'm reading people are saying news from Japan is saying pachinko is dropping like crazy lately. So it's kind of one of those things that's dropping off. So
I wonder if just the sheer amount of pachinko machines is part of what's driving the difficulty of
I don't know if TJ
resale
you could
market.
if you could get a picture of that pachinko machine on your phone, maybe.
I'll try to
use an episode image.
I'll try to grab it tomorrow.
Okay, cool. I was just like, just get a little candid photo of that.
I hope they didn't sell it today.
It's possible. I mean, if they did,
If
it's
not,
fine.
there's a sweet photo of a
doubt it.
pachinko parlor on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, that's true.
They're playing some kind of like really rad looking machine that has like a Bruce Lee looking dude on it and a lot of flames.
Hell yeah, man.
And it says the word Bush. So
What? It's going on.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. So thanks. That's really cool, TJ. You get some neat stuff in there. You know, I was talking a lot about numbers. What was the number that it was priced at?
$200.
Okay.
$199.99.
Oh, that's too much.
I'll
That's
give
fine. It's
you
half price tomorrow.
$5 for it.
Yeah. $100 is tempting, TJ. If it was 50, I'd probably be like, all right, I got to see this.
Yeah, but then you have to factor in the gas to drive down there.
That's true. You're right, and the tolls.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's fun though.
You Illinois people with your toll roads.
No, TJ,
Yeah,
have you been gambling on the pachinko now? Is this
No.
is this a slow way of telling us that you have it in the back of your car right now?
No.
You know what
No.
they say? Pachinko's the gateway to pinball.
Do you know it's an interesting thing? Just as a little aside. So Rainbow Six Siege, which is a huge game, which I've never played, but like apparently is like the fucking biggest fucking game.
Yes.
Like everyone's playing this. So they announced that they are going to expand the game into Asian territories, right? Because they're just looking at expanding the market, and they are making some changes to the game. And looks like China is the biggest country they're trying to send this off to. They're making some changes to the game that are globally changing. So the Rainbow Six retroactively, depending, that doesn't matter what fucking like area of the world you're in, the game will be changing for you. They're removing sex and gambling references, as well as some violence references globally. So they're showing before and after shots of levels where their slot machines that used to be on the walls are now empty. The melee icon used to be a knife. Now it's a fist. The death icon used to be skull and crossbones. Now it's a little picture of a man with an X on it. So, okay. There was a German biker gang lair that you go into that had like a fucking like a spray painted skull on a hood on the wall, and now it's a guy wearing a hood on the wall. There's a piece of Japanese art in a lobby that had like a blood spray on it, and now there's no blood. So it's really kind of interesting. People are kind of being like, what the fuck is this shit? I don't live in a region where there's censorship, but you're making the censorship, worldwide. And so they're just saying Ubisoft is being lazy, basically.
Yeah. Well,
they don't
I know
want
that
to...
Blizzard, going back to that for a second, they have like...
They have a separate version of the game.
Yeah, well, like the Stitches hero has, in Heroes of the Storm has guts and bones hanging out, and so the Chinese version just has like patches on that, because I guess there's some law against human viscera being shown in games in China.
Yeah, the Chinese censorship laws have changed a lot of games, I think, but also people like... There's a lot of superstition and things, or not, like a lot of misinformation as well. Like, like one of the things people would say was like, oh, skeletons are banned in China. You can't have skeletons. But actually, that's not true. It's images that promote superstition, and skeletons are banned. Because the movie Coco was released in China. And it's all full of skeletons. But they're friendly, love skeletons, and having a good old time versus, like,
but is there
being
some,
spooky.
Like, some anti-gore rules?
Yes,
so,
a lot of
so
that.
Like with the Stitches thing, it was probably just the guts that was the
exactly.
Okay.
Blood, sex, gambling, all being removed from the game. So, I mean, and it's kind of dumb. Like, when you think about it, this is a game where you go in and murder a bunch of people with guns.
Yeah.
Like, and then like China's like, oh, you can't have that fucking slot machine on the goddamn wall. Ruin kids.
We're okay
so, yeah,
with
I think
all
that's
the
kind of
murder,
bullshit.
but gambling, that's
Ubisoft,
too far.
fucking make a separate Asian territories version.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, come on. Like,
I mean,
there's
at the same time, employ some extra asset artists to make that stuff,
Exactly.
Be a top creator.
Exactly. It's stuff like this always bothers me, because these companies are making hand over fist on this fucking game and all of the fucking DLC that's in it. Putting out new operators for like $10 a piece, and like people are buying all this, and it's like, hey, oh wait, nope, there's an update with this. However, the community manager explained that some things will be split build wise, so not every change will be global necessarily. But they're trying to so it sounds like they're walking this back after the reaction. So they're saying, depending on your location, there may be some changes, and not. Some things will be region locked, so if you're from a certain region, you'll see different things. So it sounds like it may not be completely global, but it does sound like that originally their plan was, we're going to have one global version.
For the American region, we've added a lot of extra guns to everything.
I was about to say, for one thing you learn about dealing with gamers is you can't ever take anything away, because people will be furious.
No. And you also
can never
can't
remove
add
content.
Something that's not as much as they were expecting.
Yes.
You have to add exactly as much or more than they were expecting.
Yep. Yeah, so fuck. Yeah, I just saw that and I was like, oh shit. They're just Asian censorship is going worldwide, but never mind. They're walking it back. Let's see here. Matt, you're still watching The Walking Dead, huh?
No.
Okay. I just know that this is the episode where the main character is leaving the show.
Oh, really? I haven't watched
Yeah.
it in like maybe 1.5 or 2 seasons.
Oh, they were talking about how this would be the guy who played Rick Grimes' last season, so I don't want to. I won't spoil anything about what happens to him. Whether he's just like, I'm going to go off.
Well,
an
I'm
island or
assuming
dies in
he's
Blaze of
not
Glory.
just like, I'm going to go on vacation somewhere.
Yeah, he probably dies, but I haven't watched the show. I'm just assuming he dies in the Blaze of Glory. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. It's just like, it's like, all right, like you don't watch that show anymore.
No,
I
mean
know
that
a lot
show's
of
been
people
on
have-
for like a decade.
I know.
Like,
It's just like, why did, I don't know, like things go on for way too long sometimes. Like,
well, I
I
think
think
the
there
whole
was that-
thing with the comic was that the plan was to not have an end game. Like they were never supposed to find out what caused the zombies
Yeah,
or
yeah.
anything.
Does that happen in the show? Like they find out things?
doubt it.
No, not the stuff that I saw.
Hmm.
They always think they're gonna figure it out, but then they don't, and then it
Yeah.
just ends up being a cycle of you find some people, you build a little society, and then at the end of the season, everything goes wrong, and you have to start over again.
Hmm.
So
Huh.
it just got too repetitive.
Yeah, like again, I've talked about this. I just walked away from that show in the second season.
Yeah, it got better after the second season, then it got worse again.
Yeah, I think the problem I had was, and I probably said this many times, that second season started where the plot was a child ran away, and we're like, oh, we got to go after this kid, and I was like, this season is going to end with the kid being a zombie and them
Well,
having to kill
yeah.
it. But I was just like, it's too predictable. It's not what I'm looking for in a TV
Well,
show.
and it's
like,
just like, why are you wasting the whole season looking for this
oh, I know,
obviously
because
dead child?
this is rather than in a movie where this would be one character going off and doing something. Everyone's like, no, we can't waste time. This is bad. Like all this, like, and you as a viewer be like, oh, what an idiot. The whole season is that, like, oh, I'm not interested. I'm sure plenty of other things I'm sure happened in that season too. But like, you just have this season-long plot arc that's just like, I am not interested. And people have said that was the bad season because if I remember correctly, that was the history of the show where the first season fucking blew everyone away, and they were like, oh man. And then AMC was like, all right, for season 2, we're gonna cut your budget a lot.
The first season was like one of those nobody saw this kind of thing on network television.
Yeah.
And then, but I've heard nothing but good things about the spin-off series Fear the Walking Dead, so I've watched
Okay.
a couple of seasons of that, but I'll have to get back to that.
Yeah. Speaking of The Walking Dead, zombies, if you will, maybe scorched monsters.
Oh, are you setting me up?
I'm setting you up so you can knock them down.
I've played a beta test for a little.
Oh, the B.E.T.T.A.
as
The,
British
the
people call
break
it.
it early
Test.
test application?
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Basically, I've been playing Fallout 76, and
On PC?
yeah,
You didn't do the PS4 beta?
no, I don't know if I could have got that because I bought it on PC,
Oh, got it.
but it's weird. It's like specified chunks of time that they're opening the beta. So there was like a 4-hour chunk on last Tuesday. Then there was like an 8-hour chunk on Thursday, and another one of those on Saturday and Sunday this week. So there's like right now, if I could play it, I would be doing that and not doing this fucking chuckle fest.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I guess as far as the fears about it being online ruining it, it doesn't really. You interact with people to some degree, but I have like my voice chat turned off. So my interaction with other people is I'll wander into an area and realize that there's an area event going on, and a bunch of people that, for all I can tell, could just be weird NPCs that act strange, will also try to compete that challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does, reading some of PC gamers' reactions to this too. They're saying it feels a lot like an early MMO, like where there's a lot of people around.
Yeah.
And nobody really talks to each other, so it doesn't.
Well, and there's no like text chat. It's all
Yeah.
voice chat. So if you have that turned off, you're basically everyone else in the world is a mute.
Mhm. Which is nice too, because then you don't have people spamming fucking racial slurs in the chat.
Yeah. And so VATS is interesting. It,
Yeah, I've heard
you
that's a
can't slow
weird
down
change.
stuff, so it ends up being more like a quick draw mechanic, where you'll, at least this is how I've been using it. I'll hit VATS and it'll auto target with a percentage, and then I'll immediately fire.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like a 1-2 punch, as far as buttons wise, and it ends up being almost like a sort of a McCree from Overwatch kind of thing. When you have multiple enemies and a bunch of action points stored up, it's like VATS fire, VATS fire, VATS fire, and they all just go down. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm awesome. I'm really good at this game.
One thing I think people have said that's interesting is the impressions are it's like also there's like 0 consequences for dying.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's kind of like
you can go find your corpse. So when you die, the only stuff you drop is junk. Like you keep your armor and your weapons, you keep your food and medicine and stuff.
Yeah.
So you can go back for that. And I had my first experience today where I died, and then I died on my way to get my corpse. And you can still, it doesn't erase the previous death. You can still go back to each individual death and pick up your stuff whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Fast travel, you can fast travel back to your camp for free, but to travel anywhere else, it costs like a very tiny amount of caps.
Mm.
The camp system's pretty cool. A lot of people are pissed off about build limits and storage limits in the camps, but
it does sound kind of interesting too, the way that it really feels like an old MMO. People are saying like you basically all pop out in the same location, so there's just a bunch of crowd of the same looking type of people at the start.
Yeah, so you spawn
that's every
at the
MMO.
vault,
Yeah,
and then you all go to this
yeah, like there's a starting area, like a tutorial area where everyone goes to.
there's one little town, and there's this faction called what are they called? Responders. They only really exist in the form of corpses and logs, but it's through that they're kind of like the tutorial that they teach you about the world and teach you like about water purification and stuff like that. And at the same time, the main quest is your overseer from the vault left on her own to try and figure the world out, and she's supposed to procure the missile silos to prevent them from falling into like the wrong hands. So the main quest is just kind of following along her path, and you hear from her in like holotapes that she leaves behind and stuff, but that's basically it. So I'm assuming at some point, if you progress far enough, you find her corpse or something.
Yeah. Polygon has said of the beta that they really didn't like the initial beta, like early October,
like the console one, the first one.
Yeah, and they said this feels a lot better of a game, like more interesting. They said so. It sounds like it. I think the biggest problem that they have with this game is that they did a really bad job of describing what it was going to be before it came out. Because they were like, it's kind of like a new Fallout game, but it's also not like a new Fallout game in a lot of ways. And it's a survival game, but also you're not forced to do all these survival game things. And
you have to
like permadeath
keep track
and all
of
that stuff.
Food and drink and stuff, and you can get, if you eat
but what's the
rotten
point,
food, you can
though?
get diseases.
Because if you don't... So let's just say you starve to death, right? Do you just come back alive? Because there's no penalty for dying.
It's just well, then you have to go find your corpse. It's a really minor. So
it's
the
just
thing
so
is
weird. Like
there's the survival mechanics, but it's not punishing if you.
Which is I guess is a weird way to make a game too, in my opinion. Because like I feel like the whole point of survival games is the punishing mechanics, forcing you to survive. So why even have it at all? Like make it like an older Fallout game where you can eat to get buffs rather than eat to like not die. I don't know. It sounds like they have.
It adds an interesting aspect.
I mean, I haven't played it, so I can't really describe it. You know, it just.
I would imagine that the punishment here is just your loss of time.
Yeah,
or anything
I suppose.
else.
Yeah, having to go back and Fair enough. Oh, well, it sounds like I think the response so far has been, I guess, mixed to good. So
Yeah, everybody's real salty about the
Well-
storage limits in the camps, but
this
I
is the
imagine
problem: is that they didn't describe the game super well. So you're having a fucking Blizzard situation where people are mad because it isn't what they wanted because they weren't super clear on exactly what it was going to be.
I don't think
so.
that's necessarily it. I think people are just nitpicking and not like this is a game that's going to continue to evolve. So like if something as simple as a number like with the carrying capacity of your camp, that's just a number. They can change that. So
Yeah.
like complain
Oh, yeah,
about it,
that-
but also
that's
don't
the
say
other-
it's ruining the game for you.
That's the impression I'm also getting is that it's like, hey, this is a game that is going to be in like an MMO, continually tweaked and updated to be like what, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're obviously going to be able to change things because between the two betas, people have said a lot of issues and technical things they were having have been fixed.
And it's really
so-
interesting to see how much story they can jam into the game just through like found holotapes and notes and stuff. Like it really does feel like a living world. It feels like a Fallout 4
Yeah.
expansion.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
It's just very eerie, and also the fact that all the humans are dead. It's like a big mystery, like elephant in the room situation, where I'm assuming eventually, like there's hints to it. There's the Scorched, which we talked about. They're kind of like ghouls, but different. I guess they're almost like like some monsters from Silent Hill kind of deal, where they're burning from the inside, and eventually they will just turn into these like frozen piles of ash, or like human shaped piles of ash that are kind of like the castings from Pompeii. So eventually they just kind of burn themselves up, and I guess that seems to be like a spreadable virus. So probably at some point that happened, and that combined with the little Chinese robots that I keep seeing killed everyone. So you see dead raiders, you see like dead settlers and stuff.
Yeah.
And basically something came in and killed all of them.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting, though. You're kind of like seeing a story. You're picking the pieces together by like sifting through.
It's kind of
which
like
is kinda
the
neat.
first half hour of 28 Days Later. You woke up,
Yeah.
nobody's around, and you don't know why.
Yeah. So I feel like that's pretty cool. I mean, I hope it's good. I don't think I'm gonna. I don't pre-order games a lot, so I was like,
No.
I'm not gonna pre-order this. But
I
mean-
pre-ordered so I get my sweet power armor helmet.
well, this is your favorite game franchise. I understand why you would pre-order it. Like, and it sounds like at least it's going to be worthwhile.
Yeah. I'm definitely
and that they're
already
doing a
having
lot.
fun. And when
Yeah, of course.
whenever the beta sessions end, I'm always like, but I want to play more.
Nah. Well, that's always a good sign.
Mhm.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad. I'm excited to play. I'm excited to play World of Warcraft Classic, but I'm gonna have to wait for that.
Fallout
'Cause it didn't-
76, go get it.
But
That's
also,
their
if you want to
tagline.
play World of Warcraft Classic, you can just find places online where you can just play it. So anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, like, I'm glad that they're going to give me an option to pay for this. Like, I
For the
feel
Classic,
bad. Like, you know, like.
But what
like,
if I want?
Yep,
What
go.
if I want to pay for older games,
What do you
like-
mean?
like much older games than that?
Like
Yeah.
old, like, I don't know, just picking a system out of the blue, like maybe a PlayStation or.
Oh, a nice seg.
You know what really helps with like a good segue is just like acknowledging verbally that it's a segue.
You know what's really great about a good segue is when you acknowledge the segue, and then your other host talks about how you acknowledge the segue. We're just
Yeah,
going
but-
off on a tangent now.
But I'm not good at segues, but they're a lot easier than hoverboards.
Well, yeah,
Because
that's
they
what
have
I'm
a
saying. Let's talk about the PlayStation Classic is coming out on they've announced it. They had a reveal video. It's coming out on, was it December 3rd?
December 3rd, correct.
Which is a what day? What day is that?
Let me look at my calendar because
That's
gotta be like a Friday.
Saturday.
gotta be a Friday.
A Friday or Saturday? Weekend.
3rd?
Yeah.
That's a Monday.
Oh, weird. All right.
What?
That's stupid.
Hey, putting it out on Monday, so get ready to stay up late and go to your Walmart super late so you can get like I did with the SNES Classic, because I don't know that what, somehow I feel like these aren't going to be as hard to find as a Super Nintendo Classic.
So when they first announced this thing back on September 19th, they had announced only 5 games for the system.
Yeah.
At the time, saying that there's gonna be 20 games in here, but here's a taste. Here's
What
the
were
first
the 5
5
that they announced?
No Final Fantasy 7 was one of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Jumping Flash, I think, was the more rare one.
Mhm.
What else do I know for sure?
Did they have the
Was it,
bouncer?
like,
'Cause that's
Intelligent
the only...
Cube?
Oh no, that was
Bouncer's
PlayStation 2.
PS2. I love the bouncer. Matt, we should play the bouncer together.
Maybe
I turned
they,
into
like,
a leopard at one point.
They probably announced Ballerina to Shinden too with that first 5. I'm assuming. 'Cause
probably.
That was a launch
Yeah.
title, so that would make sense. So let's go through the list here.
Before we go through the list,
Okay.
I made a prediction, which I thought I tweeted, and then I did a search through my tweet history, and it wasn't there. But I found it
You
in one
dream
of my.
tweeted it.
Nope. I
tweeted it.
put it in a Discord server,
Ah.
and on September, not our Discord server, unfortunately. It was one
Wow.
of my GameStop ones.
Whoa. Well,
What the
cheating on
fuck?
us.
So when someone posted the video for the PlayStation Classic, all I said was, I hope they announce Intelligent Cube for it.
Ah.
Because that game is like $200 right now, and you cannot get that game digitally anywhere else.
Wow.
And I've only played a demo for it on one of those PlayStation
And I think
demo discs.
Intelligent Cube, that's like the puzzle game where you're like a cube and you have to like
No, you're a
mark
guy.
the floor.
You're a guy and you mark the floor to get rid
Yeah.
of cubes.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you like
Yes.
mark the floor so that cubes disappear.
And cube
Yep.
is spelled with a Q.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was an original, not an original game. But this was like was it a launch game? Pretty close.
Very
97.
close. Very close to launch.
So a much older game. But we gotta go through the list here.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna start off with So my first impressions of this list is they are missing. This is a weird list of games.
Do they have Killer Instinct?
I
No,
didn't think that was on PlayStation.
That was Nintendo until it went to Xbox.
So one thing that is the first thing I thought about this when it was announced is like I'm not really interested in getting this because to me my nostalgia system was the N64 as a kid. Like I had a PlayStation 1 and I did play some great games on it, like Final Fantasy 7 and whatnot, but like it wasn't like my favorite system. Like the Nintendo system was my favorite. Like and then but there was some good stuff on here. So I was like that. But I was like, you know what? They're not going to have the games I want. So for me, but there are some. When you think of PlayStation, what do you think of? Those games aren't on this like ideas. So let's talk about the list here. We're going to start with Battle Arena to Shinden. We're going alphabetical here.
Yep.
So that is a launch title. That was a 3D fighting game. Oh, the other baffling thing, no analog sticks. So this is original
Yep.
D-pad only PlayStation controls. Although it does come with 2, right? In the
Yeah, I
video
believe
it
it
showed
comes with
2.
two.
So
Yep.
oh, that's nice. So you can play multiplayer stuff right away. The fighting games, which if you're looking for a way to play like Battle Arena, I'll get to some of the other games. I don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah, I got a couple as we come up that I'm like,
yeah, it would be a cool
Really
way to
good.
play some of these games with 2
Yeah.
controllers right off the bat.
Exactly.
Cool Borders 2.
Oh yeah.
I loved that game.
I don't know if there was a huge clamor for Cool Borders 2.
There's always
Only
a
from
climb
me.
for Cool Borders.
Only from me. I love Cool Borders 2.
So is Cool Borders just 1 not available on the PlayStation?
No, it was on the PlayStation. Cool Borders 2 was better.
Oh, Well, but looking at this list we're going to go through, the trend of the second game being better doesn't seem to be happening, though.
Oh man, Cool Borders
throughout the rest of
is
this list.
definitely one of the
I get
PlayStation
that.
games I actually had.
But it's not necessarily, hey, we're just going to put the... If the first game wasn't garbage, it's probably on this list, though.
You know what's better than Cool Borders 2?
Cool Borders
Cool
3.
Borders 3 is better, and it was a
It
PlayStation game.
Yep.
I don't remember playing much of Cool Borders 4, but I remember playing Cool Borders 3. But then again, I was like, you know what? I could be playing SSX.
I can't wait to play Cool
You know,
Borders.
or no, sorry,
1080.
1080. Yes,
Yep.
the N64 one, which I had and loved.
Or I could
go.
break out my old Xbox and play Amped.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another title. The third title is the title of a game that I loved playing, and it was, I believe, a launch title.
Yes.
Yep, 95 launch
Okay.
title. Destruction Derby.
I have a story with this game. And
This was a fun game.
It was a great game.
I remember visiting my cousin who had this PlayStation. I didn't have a PlayStation, and being blown away by Demolition Derby.
Are you ready for this?
Wait, so I want to say one final thing before you get in your story.
Yes.
Not Destruction Derby 2, which is a better game.
And I'll explain why in a second. It's part of my story.
Okay, good.
Destruction Derby multiplayer was locked behind having 2 PlayStations and a link cable.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
No split screen.
I had bought the link cable.
Oh, wow.
I didn't own this game. I bought link cable because I'm like, oh, there's probably going to be a bunch more games that'll need this.
Oh, no.
Destruction Derby and Warcraft. The only two
God.
that I know that use the link cable.
Was that Warcraft 2 then, I'm assuming?
No. Warcraft,
Original.
Warcraft Classic.
Oh, wow. Destruction Derby. Let's looking at the reviews. Game Fan gave it a 92 out of 100 for the N64 version. Oh, okay, get out of here. So this came out on N64. Wait, this came out on N64 as well.
Yes, it did.
What the fuck? Okay, so this is a weird choice to put in here. I think. I think it's a memorable game because I think it was a launch title, but also it wasn't PlayStation exclusive, and I think people don't really remember it super well. All right.
All right. Before we get to it, oh, never mind. It's not here. Never mind. Go ahead.
Final Fantasy VII. Obviously, they had announced that. That's like one of the best-selling games of all time, and it was on this console.
They went for the launch instead of the classic. They didn't go with 9.
Yeah.
Notice I'm skipping 8. I understand its legacy. We'll move on.
Okay. Well, and they're kind of doing a thing where they're getting one game from like each series. They're not trying to have like 7, 8, and 9. You know, even though they're fucking ROMs, and they could put anything on this.
Well, they should put 8 because you get 7 and 9 on a PS4.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's an interesting choice: Grand Theft Auto, the original. I played
the top-down one.
I played this game and I liked it, and then I realized, oh no, I actually really liked Grand Theft Auto 2 more.
Yeah, 2 was better.
And but they have the 1. Why?
London 1969. The expansion for this was better.
Yeah. So if I look at Grand Theft Auto 1, I remember liking this game a lot, but also thinking Grand Theft Auto 2 is better. Yeah, this game, the reception across the board seems to be about 6 out of 10. People are like, it's interesting, and I like some things about it, but it's not great. And I think the second one was better.
I'm super glad Driver is not on this list.
And so they didn't put... But Driver's a game that people remember. Okay, Intelligent Cube, which TJ talked about.
Yep.
Jumping Flash, which I think was also a launch game.
See, people are talking about that one, at least when the first 5 games are showing, because it's, again, one of those rare ones that are expensive. I know nothing about it.
That's basically a launch game as well. Yeah. I never played this.
The cover art looks very Japanese.
Is it like a... What the fuck type of game is Jumping Flash?
It's a robot fish cat.
Oh, you play Robbit or Robotic Rabbit? It's a first-person flying around in 3D type game?
It's a first-person platform game.
Okay, weird. But you know what? Fine, put it on there because that's a weird game that nobody played, so it's kind of an interesting thing. All right, they got one of the most important games next.
Spyro the Dragon.
Metal Gear Solid. We're going alphabetical, Matt. We're at M. Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid.
That was like, if they don't have this on here, what's the point?
Yep.
You know, so they got that.
And it wasn't in the first 5 either.
I know. So people were worried. But obviously, one of the most classic games of all time as well. Mr. Driller. That's a good game.
I saw a film called that once.
I didn't know that the Driller series started this early. I thought it started with Game Boy Advance and went from there.
Mr. Driller. I've seen that, Matt. It's from the 70s.
Yeah.
It's no good. It's
a product of its time.
That's true. You're right. Mr. Driller. There's got to be a porn called that. Okay. Oddworld Abe's Odyssey.
Oh, it's a classic.
That's a classic. I didn't ever like that or play that game, but it is a classic and deserved to be on here.
Sounds familiar.
It's
Look it up.
The style of gameplay kind of follows up on. See, I know it as Another World. What's the freaking name of that game from the Super Nintendo?
Oh yeah, I played the shit out of that game, or at least a demo of that game.
Yeah.
What was it called? Out of This World.
Yeah, it's Out of This World.
Yeah,
or Another World?
Another World is what the rest of the world calls it.
Okay. So that's a classic. Like, it's kind of like an adventure game, but also like a platformer.
No. Another World, I think, is a second game. Out of This World, I think, is called something else. Whatever. But they're both the same kind of game. And Oddworld is the same kind of.
Yeah.
It's the progression. It's the successor.
So the first Rayman is next.
Rayman was 3D back then, wasn't it?
No,
Rayman was 2D and then came back to 2D.
game.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first yeah, this is the thing, is that people remember, so you're thinking of TJ.
Rayman 3D.
You're thinking of Rayman 3D, which was the N64 Rayman game.
Yep.
Or is it Rayman 2? Rayman 2, maybe. Yeah. Right here. It's Rayman 2. Sorry. Well, that was the first 3D Rayman game, and it was on N64. Rayman 1 was 95. It was a Atari Jaguar, Sega Saturn, and PlayStation game.
Okay.
And it is a 2D platformer.
I'm glad they went back to that, because the new Raymans are...
Yeah. They're just gorgeous. So that's an interesting choice. Okay, sure. Why not? You know, it's an old one. All right. Here's an addition that I understand.
Yep.
Resident Evil Director's Cut.
Yes.
It needs to be in here. Also, I think Resident Evil 2 is a better game and should have also been in here.
Yeah, but they're already doing their remaster of that, so maybe they were
it's just
don't
so
wanna-
Well,
weird.
one's already been remastered too, so...
Resident Evil 2 is a better game. Put it in here. Everyone's played Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2... Anyway, sorry. It's, again, the tradition of them putting the first one out and not the second one because...
Yeah.
For reasons.
I had
All right.
Resident Evil 2 on my phone, like pre-iPhone.
All right, are you ready for the weirdest game on this list?
Yes, and I've got some reasons why this is a sucky version of it.
So, what is this game? This is a game you've heard TJ talk a lot about. Series
Yes.
Revelations: Persona.
Yes.
So,
Which
is
is
this
the
the
US
first
title.
Persona game?
This is the first
Persona
Persona game.
Revelations.
In Japan, it was called Shin Megami Tensei Persona. In the US, we got it called Revelations Persona. They took the characters' names from Japanese and turned them into
Oh
English
God,
names.
they localized the shit out of this, huh?
They made an Asian kid black.
Yeah, I see this. I'm seeing this.
But what they also did was, we need to make this game easier for the Americans, so they dropped the encounter rate, increased XP, but not gold yen that you get from battles.
Yeah.
So you end up always having less money than you should for the entire game.
Uh-huh. I'm actually kind of interested in playing this now because I'm looking at the reviews.
No, the reviews are great.
Yeah, like it looks like when this came out in '96, like everyone was like, "This is a pretty cool game."
Yeah.
Like, very well received.
You still would be better off playing the PSP version of this.
Yeah, I've heard the PSP version's real good.
I have a physical copy. I haven't started playing it yet. I have a UMD disc of Persona. What do they call it? Whatever. It's Persona 1.
Yeah, here it is. It's Persona, the PSP version basically fixed the localization by
Yep.
improving it, and then changed it so the more difficult ways could be played, basically. And I guess there seems to be an ending that was changed
Yeah.
in the localization as well, or a route at the end of the game. Anyway, it sounds like that it is a worse version of the game, but also it makes me more interested in this because it's a game I never played. So
Also, don't worry about social links. That's not a thing, and that didn't start until Persona 3. So
nice.
you still have a year, but it's a different style.
Okay, here's an interesting choice, and by interesting choice I mean
It's Pepsi Man.
different
Video game
than
developed by Pepsi.
different than the rest of the series, where they put out not the first one and one of the better ones, Ridge Racer Type 4, which was that the last Ridge Racer on PS1? Because it was
That was probably the
98.
last good Ridge Racer too.
Yeah, so they put out Ridge Racer 4, which is interesting. I will say that we've already gone past the G's, and there is not a Gran Turismo game on here, which seems like an incredible omission
Yes.
when it's talking about racing games on the PlayStation Classic.
But Gran Turismo didn't start hitting its stride until A-Spec. Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec.
Yeah, but Gran Turismo 2 is a great game.
Fair
and
enough. But
It could have been on here. So yeah,
I still think Ridge Racer is the better pick.
I guess, but also why only 20? Like, you got room for more. I mean, I'm saying knock out Grand Theft Auto Overhead and put in Gran Turismo.
Well, I don't think room on the device is the limiting factor. I think it's licensing.
It's weird. Well, here's the issue I have with the licensing, is that there's a lot of Sony-owned games that are not on here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, they could have put out much more on here, because there's a lot of Sony developed and published games that are not on here. So, but anyway, let's move on. Super
Nope.
Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah.
Interesting to not have any Street Fighter game on here.
Yeah. Throw an alpha on there.
Because what was the Street Fighter PS1 game? What were the Street Fighter? Alpha 3. Alpha 3.
Alpha 3. Yeah.
That was the big one on.
Because that was also on Dreamcast, I think.
Yeah. So Alpha 3. Not having Street Fighter Alpha is weird. Like, because that's the Street Fighter that was the PlayStation one. Because that was in the arcades of that time. So weird.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's a fun choice for if I don't know if Adam or Lance are listening, but we Siphon Filter.
Siphon Filter.
I believe Adam and I have watched about 40 hours of Lance trying to beat Siphon Filter. It is hilarious because the game is goddamn nightmare.
Oh,
or was
it
it
is.
Adam that's playing it? But it's also an interesting game because this was Sony being like, hey, Metal Gear Solid's popular. We got to make our own Metal Gear Solid game. And they made this, and it's not nearly as good. Because
Fun
the
fact,
story isn't weird.
The voice actor for main Siphon Filter character, I don't remember what his name is the same as the main character of Final Fantasy X.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I used to know his name, the actor.
Yeah.
James
Also,
Earl
no
Taylor.
Street Fighter, the movie, the game. Come on.
Oh.
Oh boy, that's a bad game. Tekken 3 is the other fighting game.
T3 to Discovery Zone.
All right, so Tekken 3 is great. Good call.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
a classic fighting game on the PlayStation.
My personal nostalgia is 2, but that's only because I owned it.
Yeah, I remember playing.
And it's got that
Tons.
really rad alliteration.
I remember playing
Tekken 3?
tons
Tekken 2.
of Tekken 3 on at the YMCA because the YMCA had a PlayStation 1 and Tekken 3 was one of the games they had.
And that's
so
where
we'd be
John
playing.
went to hang out with all the boys
Yep. All right.
and grab a good meal.
Yep.
And the other things from that song.
Let's talk about the odd choice of Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six being on here. The PlayStation 1 Rainbow Six game. Which is a weird game. I played Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six on the PC back in the day. It is a tactical shooter video game.
Yep.
It is very much a set up people at doors and then execute room clearing maneuvers. Not much of a shooter game when it comes down to it.
Was there
I
not
would
a
have said-
Splinter Cell on the original PlayStation?
No.
That's PS2. And I was gonna say, I wish they would have done Ghost Recon, but again, Ghost Recon didn't start till PS2 as well.
Yeah. So weird choice again. Twisted
I feel
Metal.
Like they were just like, we need a Tom Clancy game. And
Yeah,
this
exactly.
The only one.
Well, if you look at this list, there's a bunch of other Ubisoft games on here. So clearly Ubisoft was willing to give them licensing. Rayman, Oddworld, I believe, are both Ubisoft. So.
And Rayman for sure.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, yeah, I think Ubisoft may have owned Oddworld, but I think they gave the license back to the developer. Anyway, Twisted Metal.
Solid choice.
Good choice, but
not a good
better.
choice because Twisted Metal 2 is miles better than Twisted Metal 1.
Twisted Metal 2 is the one I had.
Yeah, the Twisted Metal 2 is the one I remember playing tons of. Twisted Metal 2 was better.
Now I noticed that we're at TW now, so that means there's no Tomb Raider.
No Tomb Raider.
Okay.
One of the many heinous omissions of the PlayStation 1 Classic. And then the last game, hey, remember the people playing their first console, and this is me, where I played a fuck ton of JRPGs, the PlayStation 1. We got one, Final Fantasy 7. Well, we got two, Wild Arms, which is actually a great game, so. But that's, wait, is Wild Arms 1 the RPG? Okay, it is.
That's a pretty crazy title for a game.
Yeah. Well, Wild Arms is pretty cool because it's like a Western RPG.
Yeah, I could tell that by their logo. That has a lot of bullet holes in it.
Yeah. So pretty cool. I think Wild Arms 2 is better.
PlayStation owns the license for a little JRPG called The Legend of Dragoon, which is not on here.
Yep. So let's talk about emissions. So
yes.
We got 20 games on here. Here's my emissions. My first comment was, so I guess the PlayStation 1 didn't have any JRPGs on it because we're missing Suikoden.
Yep.
Suikoden 2, which is one of the best RPGs ever.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite game of all time, Lunar, Silver Star Story Complete, not on here.
Yes, that is your favorite game.
I'm sure they could have gotten the license to because I don't think anyone owns the license to that. I think Working Designs as a company
got absolved.
I think the license for that is probably easy to get. Because I think I don't even know who owns the license to Lunar. That's like a lookup. But let me get through my list.
Ubisoft has published it, but it doesn't mean they own it now.
Let me look. I'll look up to see if anyone has a thought. But let me get through my list of missing games. So you had mentioned Legend of Dragoon. That's a great game.
Yep.
Saga Frontier, great game. Here's one of the most classic JRPGs of all time that's super hard to find. Xenogears. Oh wait, what about Final Fantasy fucking Tactics? One of the best-selling games of all time as well on there. Like Breath of Fire 3, which I loved. You know, I think Breath of Fire 2 is on the SNES, but Breath of Fire 3 is great. Chrono Cross, which I wish I liked more. I have problems with.
I still want to beat it.
Vagrant Story. Grandia. I mean, like, there's so many amazing RPGs.
Star Ocean: The Second Story.
I mean, on the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1, and they just didn't. They didn't do it. Like, and it sounds like the Japanese version didn't really have any differences. There's like small changes.
There's like 3 of them, and they're much more Japanese games in general.
But anyway, Lunar Silver Star Story Complete is like one of my favorite games. And so I'm just going to say, like, if this came out with Lunar on it, like, and they're like, hey, Lunar, I would buy this. Like, just for that game. Because, like, right now, my way of playing Lunar is fucking bad. I actually didn't realize that you could play PlayStation 1 games on a PS3 until, like, a year ago.
When I told you.
Yeah, so I could play it because I have the discs. But emulating PlayStation 1 games is kind of convoluted, and Lunar Silver Star Story Complete is one of my favorite games of all time. If you play the game, which you should, it's hilarious. Talk to every villager because the localization is funny. Like, Bill Clinton is mentioned at one point. It's weird. It came out in the mid-90s when he was still president, or the late 90s. Sorry, it was like 98, I think. I will also say about Lunar Silver Star Story Complete, the walkthrough guide is fucking hilarious. It's like I remember it being like, this is like Mystery Science Theater, the guide, because it's making fun of the characters that like and the things that are happening and like the plot events in like a fun, jokey kind of way. Like it really was just like, this is good. It's like it's poking fun at the game while also being informative, and like it's just I loved it. Like it's so good. And anyway, so it's not on there, so that's what I think is missing. I guess somebody else can start naming games here, because I can think of other things too.
Okay, I've got a bunch of other stuff.
Okay.
There's no Hot Shots representative in this.
Yes, sports games, not well represented.
Yeah, but Hot Shots Golf is, I mean, but yeah.
I'm just saying the only sports game on here besides racing is Cool Borders 2.
Yeah. What else? I'm looking at a list of best-selling ones.
There's no Area 51, the greatest game of all time.
I like Tetris Plus, but that would be Silent Hill. There's no Silent Hill on this.
Yeah, that one actually is a good game.
Nothing in the old Medal of Honor games. If you want to get a better shooter, on there. Oh, well, I don't care about this one, but I do. It's Parappa the Rapper. That's
yes.
That is so PlayStation. That
oh man, Lunar, also a hard game to find. Sorry.
Yeah.
Looking on Amazon, a new copy mint in box is $455.
Yep.
Yep. A used copy, which I don't even know if I could provide everything, because that game came in like a big cardboard box.
Mm-hmm.
That had a 2-disc thing in it with 2 game discs, 1 music disc, and a hardcover instruction manual, which included like the first 100 pages of the guide. That one of the best instruction manuals in the game ever. Like it's super great. Used copy $100 though. So my if I cobble together all my stuff, probably closer to $60. But still, crazy that it's not out.
Twisted Metal 4 was still PS1?
I guess.
Wow.
Okay, sorry. Matt, can you think of any PlayStation 1 games you used to play?
David Beckham Soccer.
Okay. Can you think of any good PlayStation 1 games? You mentioned
Disney's
Spyro.
Donald Duck Going Quackers, Donald Duck Quack Attack.
So let's talk about no Spyro, no Crash Bandicoot.
I guess Spyro and Tomb Raider would be the real games that I actually played.
No Tomb Raider, no Crash Team Racing, which I think people really like.
Or Crash Bash.
Yep. What else is missing? I mean, it is just a massive... Oh, here's a huge one. Symphony of the Night. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Like, one of the most popular Castlevania games ever made.
Oh, yes. I love that game. All right, you can play that on the Xbox One, but you can't play that on the PS4.
Yeah.
No, wait, you can play... Is it on the PS4? No. You can't do PS1 games on PS4.
I also had a PlayStation version of Risk that's not on this. So.
Other things that were missing. Oh wait, the Japanese one has Parasite Eve for some reason.
Well, I know one thing that's missing because you can't play it on this classic. Ape Escape.
Okay, yeah. All right, here's
dual analog.
Okay, so the Japanese version does have a lot of differences. Japanese version has Devil Dice on it, which I think people like. The First Armored Core, Arc the Lad 1 and 2. So there's a lot more JRPGs on this. Because we also have Saga Frontier, which I had mentioned not being on there, is on there. Yeah, so it's just.
Oh, they could have pulled a Tony Hawk on this.
Yes, that's the other huge
yeah.
one.
The original Tony Hawk.
But
I played the shit out of that.
The
I
thing
played
is
that demo so much.
Oh, here's a couple
I
other
still have
ones.
that song stuck in my head.
Here's a couple other huge misses. Wipeout, not on there.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's another one. Warhawk, the launch game. Like that, they own all of the rights to that. Like, why is that not on here? Like, that was a launch game, and they own it. So why can't you put it on here? Like,
some of these top-rated games lists are including Mega Man X4, but that game was not as good.
But Mega Man X game's not on here.
Yeah.
Right? Weren't there some
4
Mega
or
Man
5?
X games?
There's no
4, 5,
NFL
and
Blitz.
6.
I guess
I love
licensing
Blitz.
on that might be
Yeah,
hard
it's
with
tough.
the NFL.
But that'd be nice, you know.
Be nice,
Like,
yeah. I mean, they put Tecmo Bowl on the NES Classic, so
yeah.
I mean, yeah, all the names are scrubbed, but it's fine.
But so we can also talk about. I think Sony has been a little coy on this, also saying that it might be possible that there'll be more games on this in the future. Right? Didn't they say that they're...
No. Even the article that we're looking up says that
I thought they were saying it could be expanded in the future.
Well, it'll be,
if you could buy more games a la carte, this thing might really be great, but alas, that's not an option. And then in parentheses, until the hacking inevitably
Oh,
yeah,
stops.
okay,
I was
so
gonna
they must
say,
have-
it'll be out for about 5 seconds before somebody hacks it to load.
So they
other
must have
rounds.
come up with a... well, okay, so this game becomes infinitely more interesting if you can put other ROMs on it, because I'm sorry, this is not including the PlayStation games that I used to play a lot. Oh, here's another one that's missing. Hot Pursuit. Need for
Oh, yeah,
Speed.
Need for Speed Hot Pursuit was great.
Yeah, and I played more of Hot Pursuit 2, but like missing, you know, like so many classics not here. Like anyway,
Rampage World Tour.
Rampage.
I think it'll be. Oh god, I love Lunar. I don't know who owns it. Like, it's kind of one of those things of like, because this was made by Working Designs, which is a company that doesn't exist anymore.
How about Revolution X? Music is the weapon feature.
Hell yeah, man. Anyway,
I had
Ooh, Mega Man
a
Legends.
SNES version of that game that I got from a played
okay, Mega Man
place,
Legends
and
is
it was
bad.
completely broken.
Yeah, but it's fun to play, and they had the sequel, and more importantly, The Misadventures of Tron Bonne, which was a side game where you control the serve bots.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. Yeah, it's also missing the. I mean, the fact that it doesn't have analog sticks is like, why?
Well,
I mean, I understand. Like,
I didn't
keep
remember
cost down,
that the PlayStation 1 got analog sticks. I thought that was introduced with the 2.
Nope.
Yeah.
First the dual analog, and then the dual shock.
You know, that's probably why Gran Turismo is not on here, because I think Gran Turismo was an analog game.
And the Space
Oh, that
Jam
makes sense.
game isn't on there.
You know what?
Oh.
It's actually making me think about
Oh,
the missing
oh,
of.
oh.
But Tony Hawk didn't require analog sticks.
Oh,
No.
Sorry.
Bushido Blade.
Oh yeah, I used to play a ton of that.
And I only thought about that because I'm looking at a list and I found Air Guys, which was that fighting game, but happens to have Final Fantasy characters in there as well.
Yeah. Was Einhander a PlayStation 1 game?
I think it's PS2. I don't remember.
But then there's like a lot of like shooter games as well. Like, weren't there like those shmup games?
There were a lot
Or
of shmup games.
there's like bullet hell games too that
There's a
aren't
lot
on
of shmup
here.
and bullet hell. Yeah, I just saw like an art.
It's
super
just
R-Type.
missing all. I mean, the most glaring omissions I think for the U.S. is Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, because that's
And
like
Tomb
the
Raider.
games people remember, and Tomb Raider.
Oh, Tomba.
So like, I mean, it's crazy. And what they're saying here is, Activision owns Crash and Spyro, and there's no other Activision games, and no EA games as well on here. So I think that missing on the licensing is the problem. Like, anyway, so, but they do have at least Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy VII. So that's two of the most popular games, but missing out on Crash Bandicoot and Spyro is kind of
Yeah.
really like, what's the point of putting this out?
You already mentioned Legacy of Kain, right? Soul Reaver?
No, I didn't, but those are also pretty popular.
Yep.
Anyway, so just kind of sad, you know.
I never played Vagrant Story. I should get around to that.
And I'll get in debates online with people, and it bothers me. People are like, pirating is bad, you know, downloading ROMs of games. I will pay for them. Let me buy Lunar. Like, you put a remake out, I think, on the PSP, right? I think they put.
I
But I
think they
think
did.
yeah, Silver Star Harmony, but also it fucking shitted up the game because they changed voice actors and stuff. Like, it's like, and they made it like weird quasi 3D.
Ooh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, they just they changed the art style completely, which is bad. Like I love that 32-bit art style in the original.
I mean, that's what was great about the Breath of Fire games too.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, I'm looking at the PSP reviews of Silver Star Harmony. People are like, it's all the graphics, voice acting is already done. I'm not interested, man. Give me that classic late 90s anime voice acting that's not great, but I love it. Like what's the point, man? Fucking A. Put my fucking favorite game out. Anyway, I'd pay $10 for it, Put it on. It's just so weird that they don't have PS1 classics on the PS4. How is this? Why do I need to get my PS3 out to play these games?
Yeah, exactly.
It's stupid.
Exactly.
Put them out, you goddamn idiots.
I could play Legend of Dragoon on my PS3, my PSP, my PS Vita, and my PS TV.
Yeah.
And I cannot play on my PS4.
And here's the thing that's annoying about this. I'm going to rant a little bit more. People are like, well, they probably are going to make like a PlayStation Classic. None of these fucking games are on it. I would understand if like every game I was looking for would have been on this thing, but they didn't put any games people were looking for out. Like Crash and Spyro make a little bit of sense because they put out those remastered versions,
and they're owned by someone else now completely.
Exactly. But like that's the problem with these. And then the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater probably is they don't probably have the rights to the music. So
here I am, doing everything. Yeah, I love that first one.
Also, my favorite part about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater's soundtrack is that it's like, here's 2-minute versions of all of these songs because every time you play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, you have 2 minutes. So it's not even the full song. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure they had licensing issues with that because there's so many artists that are in that. It just kind of sucks, in terms of game preservation. Like I'm sorry, game companies are not doing it. You know what I mean? Like these game companies, developers, publishers are not doing good enough to preserve their own stuff, which is why a piracy group exists. Which is why piracy exists. Which is why, all of this fucking, emulation and ROM, downloading exists is because you're not preserving it. So we have to. Because if I want to play Chrono Trigger, how do I play this? Not on this SNES Classic, which I bought. Like I have the DS version, but it's not on any normal console I can play now. What it wasn't even on the Virtual Console, I don't think. Like, put the fucking games out so I can play them, you assholes. Otherwise, people are going to keep downloading games illegally because you can't buy them. God, it's annoying. Ugh. Anyway,
I got so close to finishing Chrono Trigger. I should probably see if I still have my legally acquired version and my save file, because I did all of the mandatory story elements, and I'm now at the point where you can go to all those time periods and do the extras.
That game was really cool because you could go through all the story and it's basically like, okay, here's the part where you can fight the boss. Also, there's plenty of time to do all this other stuff because you can travel through time. And it's worthwhile going back and doing all these little side things and doing the character story parts and all the different times because you get better weapons and like their ultimate weapons and everything. So it was a really cool like way it was set up where you could kind of choose your own like path at the end of what character stories you wanted to go do.
13 different endings depending on at what point and which character stories you finished.
Yes.
You do it, including having a royal line of frogs.
Yes, yeah. So that was a fun game back in the day because you would have a save file at a point where it's like, okay, I can do all the different endings with this save file. I can do these, because there's endings for losing. There's just an ending where you don't do anything, I think, at the final battle and everything. It's just real interesting, real cool way to do a game. I love that game. And it's not available on the SNES Classic unless you just, put some ROMs on it, which is apparently not too hard to do. Anyway.
Hey, John. Can you tell me about some horseball physics?
Oh, God.
Tell me about your time as a cowboy.
Okay, so I have only played. I think I'm about maybe halfway through chapter 2. It's a slow game. It is it's a really good game though. Like it is so detailed, so incredibly detailed. When it was downloading, because when you buy it, it comes in 2 discs, and you have to install the data disc and then install the stuff on the play disc and then have the play disc in to play, and it's 100 gigabytes. And so I had to have, I think on the PS4, if you're doing something external storage, you have to have 200 free because it needs like 100 to load it and then 100 to install it onto, and then you get it back after it's so like convoluted. So like I had to delete some stuff off my external because I only had, but I had like 400 gigs free, but I don't know. It was just like giving me some hassle. So I was like, all right, I'm going to delete like these games I haven't played in like 6 months. So, anyway, I had been waiting. So I watched the movie The Hateful Eight because people said the starting of the game reminded them of The Hateful Eight because, you start this game up, like in the snow on the lam, you know, after, like I guess the game starts like not a hit, but like a job went bad, like a robbery job went bad, basically, and you lost a couple people, and you know, like another gang kind of ambushed you, and so you're off to regroup in the wilderness. So it's a kind of a cool way to start the game because it's really like just like gorgeous setting because you're up in the deep snow and you're walking around, everything's cold. Which is like Hateful Eight, which takes place in the snow during a blizzard. So, and that movie was actually pretty good. I like that movie. I thought I wouldn't like it, and turns out if you have an Ennio Morricone score, it goes a long way. Because goddamn is the music. Movie? Because goddamn is the music good in that movie. And the story, the plot is. It felt a lot more like Jackie Brown Tarantino with a mystery that kind of unfolds as the story goes along, and I don't know, it was just really, really interesting. I liked it a lot. Liked it more than Django, which I didn't like. But anyway, so after that, I finished watching that. It was too late, so I was like, all right, Saturday morning, I'm gonna start playing, because the installation took like 2 hours anyway, because I had to download like a 6 gig patch as well. But anyway, it's really complicated. So like you are like all of your guns are stored on your horse. So when you ride to a location, you have to like get off your horse, turn to your horse, look through the inventory and pull the weapons out that you want, because you only can hold like 3 weapons at a time. So it's kind of like very much a systems based game, you know, like you have all of these really complex world interaction systems. It feels very simulation-y, if that makes sense. Exactly. Much more of a sim than just an action game. Because lots of crazy shit happens, like while you're out in the world. Like you could be riding along and a fucking deer will jump in front of your horse and spook it, and you'll get thrown off and your horse will run off, and you'll have to like, you know, do the slowly approach your horse and hit the L1 to like calm your horse so you can get close. It's just really crazy. And a lot of people were complaining about like, man, this game doesn't have a lot of game in it. You're just kind of like running around with systems. And I was like, man, I love this. I love the deep systems. This is what I love so much about Breath of the Wild.
It's such
like just how wide
open world experience.
Yes. I mean, you can just ride off and do whatever the fuck you want. And there's so much side stuff to do in this game, you know, kind of like Skyrim, you know what I mean? It kind of feels that way where it's just like, you know, here's the story stuff, and I've been told you kind of want to do a little bit of the story stuff, but when you get to feel about like halfway through the story, just kind of be like, all right, now it's time to dig into the side stuff, because I got lots of, you know, stuff, because there's like tutorials, I think, all the way through the second chapter, like kind of, because I did like a hunt mission with and this is how the fuck crazy this game is. It's like a mission, like to go like, all right, I got a guy in my camp wants to go hunt this bear because he's heard of this legendarily like awesome bear and he wants to get the pelt. And so the mission is, all right, let's go. And so you ride for like 10 minutes out to where this horse is near a lake, and the whole time you're talking with this guy about like kind of storyline stuff, and you can hold the button to make a cinematic camera come up, and so you're just like sitting there while your like horses are running off in the distance, and you're just like, this looks great, and then you're having this like conversation that's like little pieces of story coming out, and then you end up arriving there like, oh, it's a little bit late in the day because you spent like 10 minutes riding, but it was interesting, it was kind of a slow pace, but like you're kind of soaking in the storyline. It's like, all right, let's camp. And he's like, all right, I'm hungry. Let's go shoot some rabbits. So you kind of teaches you a little bit of hunting and how to shoot animals, and then it teaches you that you can, in anywhere in the world, when you park your horse, you can kind of set up a camp and make a campfire and then rest, like overnight if you want to reset the time of day, or you can, if you have groups together, I guess you can camp and then you'll talk around the fire and you can have like conversation trees and stuff. And then also showed you the crafting. So I cooked a bunch of rabbit and ate rabbit and regained my like stamina, because this has some survival element stuff in it, because you have your like stamina core, your deadeye aiming core, and so those will go down as you do stuff and you need to eat or drink or rest things to refill them. And that's a deep, crazy thing in this game. If you are dirty, because your character will get dirty if you fall off your horse or just going around riding a horse. If you get really dirty, people in town won't talk to you because you look like a mess.
Because you smell like garbage.
Exactly. So you have to go to the hotel and get a bath. And it's like Witcher 3, where you get in a bathtub and clean off. And then I believe you have to individually scrub each one of your body parts through a little mini game. So, and then you can get a haircut.
I heard people were playing, seeing how long they could get the main character's beard to grow out.
Yes, so your hair grows as like through the days go on, and so if you choose not to get a haircut for a while, you'll have a fucking crazy beard. And when you do the haircut stuff, you can only trim down. You can't make your hair longer. So it's like kind of like growing in real time. So you can. I have my character shaving his beard every day, but I'm keeping a giant mustache, and that mustache is getting longer.
And it's gonna grow down to his ass. Exactly.
So exactly. I want that fucking mustache dragging on the ground. Anyway, I don't think it gets that long, but it's kind of interesting. So it's just really a crazy systems-driven game, and it feels like a sim. You'll go into town, and all sorts of manner of weird crap can happen. Like, I had a situation where I had to chase a guy, and in the story it was like made me steal a horse from a guy, and I was just like, I'm just borrowing it. And then you run off and chase this guy down, and you get him, and you bring him back, and then I'm just walking by, and the map doesn't prompt you this anyway. I'm just walking by, and the guy's like, hey, that's my horse. And so I go over to him, and I stop, and I chat with him, and he's like, hey, here's your horse back. And I just give him his horse. And I was like, that wasn't a requirement of the mission, but the guy yelled at me, so I went over. Like, it's kind of the way the game feels. It's a lot of interaction that isn't like forced on you. You're just kind of allowed to choose, like, oh, I saw something weird happen over there. Let's walk over there and see what's going on. And, some interesting weird thing happens. Or you meet like another gang and they make fun of the way you're dressed for a little bit. And then you can either choose to shoot them down in the middle of the street, or you're like, it's not worth all the hassle that's going to be for me to kill these people in the middle of the city. So I won't. Or they're leaving town. I'll follow them out of town so I can kill them where no one will watch. And I won't get a wanted level. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a cool game, though. Like, I'm looking forward to playing more of it. It's a lot. Like, it's a strong drug because it is so, like, simulation-y. So you got to be in the mood to play that game. But if it's what you're looking for, you could lose hours just doing random shit. Like, getting new horses, brushing your horse.
Watching them poop.
Watching them poop. Yeah, they're fucking watching their balls swing around because they're fucking simulated. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I've been doing. It's a great game. I haven't gotten too far into it, but gotten through most of the tutorial, I think.
Man, like, the stories that come out of that game are crazy. Like, the one I heard was, so this dude was he had to rob like a caravan or something, and there was a witness, so he kills the witness, and his horse drags his body far enough that another person sees it. So he chases that person down and hog ties him. He's gonna kill him, but the person starts begging for their life, and so eventually he threatens him and is like, well, okay, you promise not to tell anyone, and I'll let you go. And he lets him go. And then about a half hour later, he got a notification that that guy ratted him out to the local cops, and there's now a warrant out for his arrest. Like the behavior of the NPCs in this game is just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's like, I understand why it's 100 gigs. I mean, there's so much fucking spoken dialogue. There are so many like just unique textures and like I remember I forget I was listening to a Kotaku review and they were just like, the brush in this game, this is the best like Scrubs brush I've ever seen in a game. Like she like walk over it and it like intelligently moves around character, so you can see why they spent hundreds of hours a week on this game, and all those reports came into so yep, that's my life, and that's what's going on. No! We can't run out of time.
I think that was a good wrap up.
It is good. It was a
Yeah.
long episode. We talked a lot about video games, but we hadn't for a while. So, well, it's like it's the time of the year that video games.
Yeah,
are
now
happening.
the drought's ending and everything's starting to be released again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which TJ will have something to say about that next week, I'm sure. Wink.
What?
Just your other thing that we didn't get to. Foreshadowing.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'm John_Danger on Twitter. I tweet some stuff.
I'm Matt Haig Music everywhere, and I also tweet some stuff.
Thank you.
I'm at MayofMay84 on the Twitters, at MayofMay everywhere else, including on the Twitch. Come see me live as I try to attempt to stream and try to be more confident as I do.
And you can find us at
You can subscribe to me.
Patreon.com/Born in
Born
the
in the
80s.
80s. And join
That's
our
right.
Discord. On our
Yep.
Links
Join
in
the
the
Discord. We talk about cool stuff. Sometimes I put free games up on
We're
there.
really cool people in real life,
Yeah.
and you should want to hang out with us.
well, two of us are.
Yeah. Hey guys, the Packers are bad now.
Yeah.
I'm
You know
gonna
who's
end the
not bad?
broadcast now 'cause I really
The
don't care about
Milwaukee
anything you're saying.
Bucks, baby.
I really just do not give a shit.
Perfect. I think we're good now. All right. Matt sounds good too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Your mic is so much nicer than mine, Matt. How much was your mic?
I don't remember. Like $300 probably.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
this one maybe more than that.
Well,
I was looking at two different mics and I can't remember what the prices of each one were.
well, you're lucky that you can afford that, because oh hey, an estimate.
Well, here's the trick. I didn't buy a house.
Yeah. I've got an estimate for cleaning my gutters. It's $200. I don't want to.
You know what you should do? You should just get like a garbage disposal.
I know we've talked about this.
I remember it now.
I like the people
All right.
that are just like on Nextdoor. Like, I found a hat. Come claim
I know.
it. Like, cool.
I know. All right, here we go. Are you guys? Oh well. What else do we want to talk about tonight? So we got the PlayStation Classic, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting choices with that all around.
And I called one of them the second I heard the PlayStation Classic was announced.
Anything else?
I was
going on?
confirmed.
Is there anything out of BlizzCon other than that one clip of people being mad about Diablo?
Well, okay, that's Blizzard's own fucking fault.
Yeah,
It is.
that was a botched announcement.
No offense to Blizzard, because it's not really their fault, but because they're just putting out shit.
Yeah.
But
there
like
wasn't anything like super newsworthy.
that's the thing, is I think people were hyped up, and then Blizzard didn't do anything to stem that hype. And then when they put out something, everyone was really disappointed it wasn't what they wanted. So, like, it's just so dumb. It's like, obviously, like, fans are bad and fickle and stupid for overreacting to this.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you can't just be like, hey, we got a lot of Diablo stuff set up, but we're not going to say what it is. And people are like, oh, Diablo 4, it's been like 8 years. Like, and then all of a sudden they're like, nope. It's like, obviously you just set yourself up for a fall here, Blizzard. What are you doing?
Yeah,
We
it
can
has
talk
to be
about that.
tacked onto something else, like when Fallout Shelter came out. I guess Warcraft 3 is getting a remaster.
Yeah, I think I heard of that.
Okay, yeah, let's just do like BlizzCon news in general. Because there's some pretty neat stuff coming out of that.
Overwatch is getting a new hero.
So you can have them all have sex with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like then another person to throw in the mix of
this
the
was
ships.
announced like, what, a couple days ago? 2 days ago? And there's definitely already fan art somewhere.
I'm only interested in the hamster fanfics slash fics. What's his name?
I don't remember, but I just now remembered that was a thing. I'm very happy about it.
What's the character's
I
name?
should
It's
play that.
Hammond.
I have that game.
What a dumb fucking. Anyway.
Bless you.
Hammond. Hammond is the hamster. I'm only interested in Hammond slash fic. Because that fucking hamster fucks. Alright. Let's get started. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
I was born ready.
Alright.